our city council meeting on July the 7th. And would you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a roll call, Bev?
Nelson?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yep.
Donlin?
Yes.
Goodchild?
Yes.
Witt?
Yes. Motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to welcome everybody today in the chamber that's here to be involved with our council meeting. And Bev, I see you're here. You have a good 4th, did you, I assume? And people that are, where's the television at? Isn't it working?
No, I just pointed to it. I saw that too.
He's outside talking to somebody, so we're still.
Anybody, once we get that television up and going, we'll welcome you also to the council meeting today. So, okay, moving on to the program. First thing we have on the program, we don't have any hearings today, so the first thing we have on the program is general discussion. And how we handle our general discussion usually is we ask the individual about their concerns or their compliments or whatever they may have on their mind to step up to the podium and to state their name and address. And the council is always willing to listen to what the concerns are. However, they can't make any decisions on it today, but they will certainly take them into consideration. Is there anyone out there? Oh, yes, please, ma'am.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, you go right ahead there.
I'd just kind of like to address, I thank y'all for being here and everything. And last year I appreciated you guys cut those fireworks days down to 3 days.
Oh,
And
good.
it seemed really great because it was horrible. Now I've got more though because of this year when they started it. We live in a block on 2nd Avenue Southwest. And only one person on the block did fireworks out in their driveway. And they shot solidly for 5 hours, both days, Friday and Saturday. Garbage lined everyone. This is garbage we picked up in our yard. We're 2 houses away. If you'd like to look at it, the hard things in it, there's sharp things, if kids walk in it, you just want to pass. I mean, that was really our yard, not the one next to it even. And I debate, is that littering? And there was a lot in the street. And I kind of wondered because the fireworks would go and I'd be watching if they went over our roof to start a fire. The house next to us burned early this right after the first of the year because of poor cigarette. Dave knows that. So I thought, is fireworks worth one house burning in the whole town? You know, and I don't have PTSD, but loud noises scare the crap out of me. So that was 10 hours of horror. You know, we don't even go to the fireworks anymore because it's just too much noise, you know, just because of it. But when it's in your own neighborhood. But then I also noticed we have 10 houses on our block. One person was shooting fireworks. I looked the other block over to the west. One person was shooting and 10, you know, same thing on the east side. I don't know about the south side, where you live, Dave. And to the north of us, only one. So that's like 1 out of 10 things. I didn't know if it was worth it anymore, but I thought, I'm going to say something.
Sure.
I think I pretty much got all of it. And then I thought, well, if you want to put it to a vote to the city, the only thing I thought of was the water bill. Instead of the credit or the postcard that has a stamp on it, put it in an envelope with somebody or something for them to vote on, you know, and then put your stamp on the envelope. You know, way to not have more than what you need. But I can't believe that I'm the only one because in our neighborhood nobody was watching these guys shoot them off, and they were going higher than all our trees, and we've got the old trees. So I don't know if they were legal or not.
Were they adults?
Yeah, they were adults. They just sat in their driveway out front. Yeah, all their kids were right there with the fire. The one across us to the west, you could see he had a fire
Pit.
pit.
Right.
And he had a flame this high, and his kids were lighting off of it, and they're maybe 11, 12 years old.
Mhm.
So, I don't know if anybody else was bothered with it at all, but,
Well, I was.
Do ya?
Because you know where I live, and it was unbelievable, the noise, and
it just
where they get
lasted.
those cannon shots, I have no idea.
Yeah, they
But
just
it
scare
was so
you.
bad that my neighbor back behind, his landlord got on the roof with a blower to blow the
Really?
debris off the roof. That's how thick it was. And it was, they were shooting over everybody's house. It was unbelievable. It was
Yeah.
bad last year, but this tops it.
This was worse
In
almost.
Second Avenue, we rode our bike, the whole street was full of the debris that you picked
Yeah,
up.
that debris
They were
was
shooting
all
them out
over.
in the street, so.
And like I said, it was 2 houses away, and
I
it
said
was
Second Avenue,
coming on
Second
ours.
Street, yeah.
Yeah, and even behind our house in the back patio, I found, there's little chambers in that thing, and it had like a little stick in it, yet you could light it. If it was a little kid found it, they could light it. I don't know what it did, but I didn't want to find out either.
And maybe we're just an odd area, but I think a lot of that's being shot by rental property. And I don't know how you stop it.
Now, the ones actually that I knew of are all homeowners,
Okay, okay.
yeah. But I know down south of us, it's always a lot of it. So, I don't know. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
Well, let me say this, Deb, that, Deb, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Let me say this, that we really appreciate you coming in and sharing your opinions on it and addressing it. You're not the only one. We've had some complaints this year. I do want to go back. It was nothing like last year, to be very honest with you. And the program that we addressed last year, and we went through a fair amount of meetings to get where we were at. And what the council came down with, and the fire chief and the police and everybody, the program that we put in last year, which is essentially, number one, they have to be firing them off on their own residence. They can't be doing it anyplace else. The second thing is we backed it down to 3 days. And the third thing was, and forgive my hours, I forgot them, but it was in those 3 days, I knew that the deadline was 11 o'clock at night.
6 to 11.
And so, personally, what I did this year, excuse me, is I went, talked to our fire chief the day after the fireworks. And I'll let him share some words also with you. And I talked to our police department. And in both cases, they had some complaints, but they were much more relieved than what they were last year.
Yeah.
I think we're making progress on it, Deb.
Yeah.
I just, the key is to clean it up.
I had no idea there'd be this much. I went out to kind of look.
And let me tell you what happened to me personally.
A lot.
I live out on the golf course, and on the number 6 fairway, I noticed right before dark, there was a bunch of them out there getting ready to have some fun. And I had no idea who they were. And so I didn't say anything, and I waited till dark, and it got dark, and they started blowing them off right on the fairway, which is number 1 against the rules in regard to the rules. And so I waited for probably 45 minutes, and I got in my golf cart, and I backed out and left the lights off and went around and sit up there on that number 6 green. And I watched them blow some more. Still didn't know who they were. Well, I'll share you out with you how I handled it. I went down and just all of a sudden flipped my lights on in the car, in the golf cart, and there they were. Kids, and they were having fun. They were enjoying it, you know? And I just shared them, happy 4th, you know? Found out it was my neighbors that was doing it, which is fine.
Yeah.
And I just shared with them, I said, go ahead and keep blowing them, but please clean it up. Those people spent 45 minutes when it was all done. I watched them. Went out and cleaned every bit of that up. I went back the next morning and it was perfectly clean. There's an example that if people
This
do it
doesn't happen
right,
there.
if people do it right,
Yeah.
But I do think we've made some real progress, and that's my opinion, but we've made some real progress over last year, as far as hours, and as far as, we got the cleaning up program ahead of us now. But I appreciate you coming in and sharing this with us.
Yeah, the same homeowner, when the snow melted last spring,
Mhm.
he had a spot this big in the yard, honest to God, with
Yeah.
cigarette butts. There had to be 2,000 or
Mhm.
more, so he's not worried about starting a fire.
And you know, the other thing, the police, the mayor, the city administrator and everybody else, we get involved with, if two neighbors don't get along,
No.
we get involved in that, but it ain't our problem to solve that. You know, I mean.
No, it
we-
isn't mine either, yeah.
We get caught in that. So,
Yeah.
but we're trying, I want you to
Oh,
know
no.
that. Yeah.
I know, I just thought I would tell you.
Oh,
Thank
appreciate
you
you
for
coming in.
listening.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Dave, as long as we're on the fireworks, would you just share a few words of how many complaints you got or what you got?
Well, we're not alone. My chief's group, of course, we send emails amongst each other, and every city in the state had the same issues they were dealing with. Some cities allow no shooting of fireworks, but guess what? It still
I
happens.
still do it.
And it's so hard to enforce. So I would say to all the citizens, including you, get a hold of your state legislators. They're the ones who passed one of these laws, again, like Mr. Knapp talks about from time to time, that we have to deal with that they don't really think about, I don't think, at times. This was for freedom, they said. I think it was more revenue based. And we're the ones up at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning dealing with the issues. I will say it's a lot easier with the 3 days that we went to than the whole month that we dealt with it last year. However, when you narrow it down to 3 days, you get the bombardment, for lack of better terms, that we had this year on the 4th especially. Because everybody can't shoot them all month, they've got a 3-day window to let them fly, literally. And they did. The problem with fireworks is when they go up, there's parts and pieces, as she's shown, that have to come down. And we did have a couple fires related to that, 2 or 3. One in a gutter on a house and some leaves in a gutter, which could have been a really bad deal, which was some of the remnants like she showed. We had a dumpster, we had a couple trash cans and some rubbish in an alley. So you're going to have that. You take the other cities in the state, their 4th of July was the same way. Large private displays. I think people had a lot of cooped up energy from the COVID issue and they were ready to do something. Every fireworks stand had their best sales pretty much ever. The ones here locally sold out of complete product more than once. They had to go ship more product in. So it definitely was a big year for it. I can't really compare this year yet. I think we're going to have to wait another year just because of the pandemic thing and people being cooped up. But we did see a lot more neighbors getting along with each other and working with each other in certain neighborhoods in town as we were out driving around. The complaints we did have, people were really decent and shut down. If they were doing it in the street, they got out of the street. If they were in the park, they got out of the park. If we had known about the golf course, you know, we could have probably kicked them out of there pretty quick.
I handled it.
You handled her though, so that's good. One less for us.
You get a mileage claim when you go.
Yeah. You want a little blue light on top or anything, Dick? I'm just asking. No, you don't want him doing that.
You don't want to encourage that.
So, and I think Justin will attest to that. When the PD asked people to quit, they quit. There was a few stragglers after 11 o'clock, but for the most part, all 3 nights at 11, I would say 95% of it had shut down. I will tell you this, it was so bad in Des Moines that their air quality for 5 hours was listed as the worst in the United States on the 4th. So if you noticed on the 4th here, we had smoke and haze everywhere. I mean, it was a total bombardment. We actually, when we had the fire in the alley, on the way there, I'm thinking normally I'd be able to see the smoke. The whole town was smoke, so then we had to look for flames, you know. But I think we've done a good thing of narrowing it down to 3 days. I think hopefully next year we'll be able to, it won't be as bad, I hope, next year, just because everybody's been so cooped up and had extra cash to buy fireworks. I mean, some of these people have spent thousands of dollars, $500 to $800. I've seen, or saw different setups where people have spent a lot of money on fireworks. But
Okay.
for the most part, I think everybody, there was a few, there always is. You get a few soda pops in you and things, and then you forget what time it is. But other than that, I think they did fairly well.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Justin, if you would, you don't know this, but would you kind of give a little report on the police, in your opinions, just to say a few words? And the purpose of this is to find out if we're making progress. This is the whole thing.
Well, I think Dave said everything right on. Is, you know, we did get a lot of complaints, maybe a dozen complaints throughout the weekend, but if we visited them once, they shut down. Anything after hours was a few complaints. And I think Dave had it right too. The neighbors actually got along. It was, you see more house parties, people out and about, visiting with each other. So 3-day window, in my opinion, worked very well. I don't think we had any complaints last night. Maybe they were shooting them off, but we didn't get any calls. But we didn't have any calls last night, so I think it's all of their system. The fireworks, like Dave said, record sales. You buy one, I think you got 500 free. So it was, and I think the reason we had the fireworks display yet on Sunday night, and last council meeting, was you don't want to take that away from them. You know, everything's been taken away already this year, and I think people are just excited to get out and do something fun. So as far as complaints, everybody abided when we stopped. We talked to them. Nobody was cited. Everybody was cordial. So it worked out real well. The 3-day window, in my opinion, is really working well.
Good.
Yeah.
And I understand you never had to write a citation, right?
No citations were issued. No, they
Which-
were very cooperative on when we stopped, so very
Yeah.
polite.
So that's worth a lot.
Yep, definitely.
Thank you, Justin.
Mrs. Majors, I got a question for you, because I had several complaints, identical to yours. Everything you said verbatim. I mean, I got phone calls, 2 yesterday and 1 the day before. So you're not the only one.
No.
And I'll admit that the debris is an issue. Do you have any ideas on how we could offer a solution to that? Because I'll just briefly tell you, my dog, and you're gonna laugh, but it's got PTSD. I have to deal with my dog for 3 days, and it's miserable. I just probably give him 6 shots of whiskey and let him go to sleep for 3 days. That's what I should do, but I get the little pills from the vet, but that barely does it. He hates it. But I do also agree that we went from 30 days to 3 days, and it's like I told everybody that complained to me yesterday. I said, you can't just take everything away. But I'll agree with you on the debris thing, but how could we pin that in an ordinance? What would be the verbiage? What would be the governing factor or the policing factor for, because I agree, they're shooting them over your house and your driveway on your street. They should have to clean it up. Dick talked about that, but do you have any solutions for us? Any ideas?
One person had a solution up the street. I was the only place I saw that made me feel good about it. They come out with a Bobcat, and 3 or 4 neighbors got out with brooms and it
Cleaned it up?
Cleaned it all off the
Sure.
street, putting the Bobcat in the way they want.
That's the good neighbor.
So-
You know, that's wonderful. That is.
It's just like the golf course. I mean, they cleaned
Absolutely.
that up, it was spotless the next morning.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Any council members ask any questions or anything on it?
The thing that people gotta realize is, Dave alluded to it, legislature says they can sell fireworks for 31 days.
Mhm.
They can sell fireworks for the whole month of June.
Mhm.
We cannot adjust the time frame of the fireworks stands being open. That's nothing that the city
No.
council can address.
We don't have.
Have no control over that, that's a state law, the only thing we can control is the time frame. So if you're gonna sell stuff for 30 days, it's gonna go off sometime. So I'm kind of with Dave on this, and I've already talked to a couple legislators about it. It just seems like we're giving people too big a window, too big a license, too big an opportunity to buy a bunch of stuff. But again, everybody wants that penny sales tax, or, you know, the state gets 6%, so they want that money, especially when they're, don't have as much money. So it's a no-win situation, but I'm kind of with Dave that, you know, we still gotta make bones to our legislatures a little bit, that this is a big opening. If you're gonna sell stuff for 30 days, you're gonna shoot it off. Because they didn't spend the money to look at it in the box, so that's the problem we got. 3 days is better than 30 for sure.
But again, I want to emphasize that anybody that has, and I had about 4 complaints, and 2 of them came into the office and we talked about it. But I want to emphasize that if something like this is on your mind, please come to the council meetings
Exactly.
and give your opportunities, your thoughts or ideas, and keep us aware of it. We don't want to shut that door.
No, absolutely not.
We want you to do that. And so, from here on out, if you want to pursue it, you know the door's open. You're welcome to come. Okay, anything else on that? Hearing none, thanks Dave and Justin for the job you're doing out there. Okay, Mike, Thumbs Up Award. Have you got anything that?
The 20-minute display that the city provided for the community was nice.
Yeah, it was. I heard a lot of compliments on it. It was.
The 40 minutes after that was also fairly nice. That's it.
Clark?
Yeah, the city display should start at about 7 or 6, because I'm usually in bed by 9:30, so I missed it.
Your driveway?
I missed it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I thought they did a nice job, and they put them up in the air, so a little bit more, I think, than even normal, so that helped everybody see them from farther away, and I'm not sure that shouldn't continue, if possible.
Just to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you tell me if I'm wrong, Dave, they were higher velocity shots this year.
Because of the 3-year contract, you are correct, we got more product this year, and we got to do a little bit bigger stuff because of the added property the fairgrounds bought towards
Right.
the east and things like that, so yeah.
So if we can do that and put them up there farther, then some of the congestion that we typically would have on a normal year, maybe will also get eliminated a little bit.
Tell you what, contract with the Agri Center, get up on top of that big bench.